We know Washington State has a long record of standing up for a woman's right of choice. We voted on it. We have supported contraception. We have supported access to reproductive care, and we have supported abortion rights of women. But Mike Pence and the Republican Party have a plan to take away this right from Washington women, and we intend to stop them. And we intend to stop them right here. The right to this choice, this constitutional choice for the last 5 decades, should not depend on which party is in control of our state legislature. But in fact, that is the situation because of this unwarranted decision by the U.S. Supreme Court. We have to understand that in the past 6 years, Republicans have introduced 40 bills to take away and inhibit a woman's right of choice. This building, the steps of which you are standing on in this Capitol, is under assault by the Republican Party. And we need to make sure this November they are not allowed to succeed in that assault. That's our job. We have to understand, because of this Republican assault on women's rights in this state, without a constitutional amendment to solidify this right under our state's constitution, we are one Republican majority of losing the right of choice in the state of Washington. Accordingly, I will be asking the legislators to pass a constitutional amendment under our state's constitution to protect women in our state. Now, unfortunately, instead of being forthright about this, Republican leaders have tried to hide for their own dangerous positions in this regard. Senate Leader John Braun said that the better pathway is to support women who choose to give birth. Well, we should not have government-imposed mandatory pregnancy in the state of Washington. And his approach, his use of the word choose is certainly ironic. Representatives Maycomer and Stokesbury said, well, people shouldn't vote on this issue. We're so harmless. What would we ever do wrong? It's wrong when they make an attempt to take away the right of choice from Washington women. And we need to speak loudly in this regard. So they don't want this to be an election issue. That's great. The easiest way for this not to be an election issue is for them to join us in support of constitutional amendment to our Constitution. Now, I will tell you this, they are embarrassed about their own position. They are trying to hide their own position. But on this issue, they can run, but they cannot hide. Because Washington citizens understand how this is important in every corner of the state of Washington. So, we will have a constitutional amendment. And I can't guarantee that it'll pass, but if we elect enough people who believe in the right of choice, it will, and that's what we're calling for here in the U.S. Capitol. But we have to understand that other states will assaulting their citizens, and by some extension, ours as well. That is why we have to stand strong, and we will make Washington State a sanctuary state for the right of choice here in the state of Washington for other citizens as well. We will use every resource under the law to defend the rights to choice, to defend privacy rights, and defend safety of citizens, including those who come from other states. Now, to do that, to start that effort, next week I will be issuing an executive order to the Washington State Patrol not to cooperate in investigations of other states that would violate the Roe v. Wade decision. In order to achieve a similar binding policy for other law enforcement agencies, we will need legislation. And I will be asking state legislators to give us legislation to make sure that's the standing rule for all law enforcement agencies in the state of Washington. And I'm hopeful that we will pass it. Now, we also know that with other states, including Idaho, taking away this right from their own citizens, there will be more demand on Washington providers. And we will take all steps necessary to make sure those services are provided to other American women who seek this service in Washington state. We know there will be financial needs in that regard. We'll be talking about more in forthcoming weeks as this clarifies, but I will be making $1 million a down payment, if you will, that I have authority as governor right now to make sure these services are provided. So that's what we will start with. I do want to note that this is not a new thing in Washington state. Our great legislators in the Democratic majority last year provided $7.4 million to increase access to provisions, so we've already bucked up these service providers. But we will stand ready, willing, and able to do more as the weeks progress. And we are going to be cautious and not allow unnecessary hospital mergers that would reduce access in the state of Washington. Now, access to data and privacy is very important in this fight. So we are going to be very alert to plug any gaps in our privacy laws so that no one can expose the private information from a Washington citizen or a citizen of a different state who comes here for services. We are not going to allow that data to get back to Texas or Missouri or Idaho. Now, unfortunately, we have to face the reality. This is not the end of this effort to protect the values of Washington state. It is the beginning of an assault on the values of Washington state. We believe that you ought to be able to love who you want to love in Washington state. And the decision and the words of the Supreme Court justices have made it clear that that's next on the plate in the Supreme Court. We believe you ought to have access to contraceptive services in our state, and that's next on the plate of these justices. This is what you get when you vote for Republicans. You get efforts to take away contraceptive services from people in the state of Washington. That won't do. So we're going to fight and continue this fight. But we are united. We are advancing the cause. We have great legislators who are Democrats to fight with us, and I will look forward to you helping us out, electing people who will protect the right of choice in the state of Washington. I'm confident.